So we're looking at the 2021 June qualitative methods paper. So question one is what we're going to look at. Question one, we are told research methodology is a very important aspect of research. Research methodology is a very important aspect of research. The way in which data is collected, managed, determines the way in which they will be analyzed. By extension, provides ways in which results are to be presented in research report. With the following commentary in mind, briefly explain with examples from your proposal presented to the school, the subsections, the research approach, the research design, the sample size, and the technique. So you can choose a topic of your own. What topic are you studying? Choose a topic of your own. What topic are you doing? So we can look at topic impact of succession planning on organizational performance. Succession planning on organization performance. Okay, you can use evidence from civil service in Zambia. So when you're dealing with a topic of such a nature, we can ensure that you give the appropriate approach based on the components you're going to look at. Okay, so what approach are you going to use? What research design are you going to use? What sample size are you going to look? Depends on um, your topic. So different components of our research approach could be adopted. We have what we call the qualitative approach. We have what we call the quantitative approach. Okay. So before I go into explaining these approaches, I'll just take you through what these are. So when we're discussing a research approach, what is a research approach? A research approach simply is the overall plan that you're going to use to conduct your research. And dealing with the research approach, we're looking at the overall plan that you're going to use to conduct your research. So we can have qualitative, we can have a quantitative, we can have a mixed approach. So the qualitative approach focuses on understanding the meanings, experiences, and opinions through interviews. And the quantitative uses numerical data and to measure the variables. The mixed approach combines both qualitative and quantitative methods to provide more overview. Then when we go to the research design, we're looking at the blueprint that the research will use. So it will outline the methods, it will outline the procedures for data collection and analysis. So we have the most common kinds of research designs. We have the descriptive research design. It is used to describe the characteristics of population. We have exploratory, is used to explain when the problem is not well defined. We have what we call the causal or explanatory design. It is used to explore cause and effect. We have also the case study. Okay. So now I may ask, this question is always resounding. Which examples of research designs fall under qualitative and which ones fall under quantitative? which are the most common research designs that we can use for quantitative and which ones are for qualitative designs. So under quantitative, we have the following. Under quantitative, we have the following. So we have the descriptive research design, which uses a quantitative approach, which describes a phenomenon using the statistical and numerical data. We also have the experimental design, which is used to test cause and effect of the relationship. We have what we call the correlational design, which examines the statistical relationship between two or more variables. This is under quantitative. And we have the quasi-experimental. It's similar to experimental, but it lacks random assignment. Then we go to the qualitative. So also cross-section design is under quantitative. It analyzes data from a population at a specific point in time. Then under qualitative, we have phenomenological, which explores the lived experiences and how individuals make sense of them. And we have the case study, which is qualitative. It provides an in-depth analysis of a single case. We also have ethnographic design, which is qualitative. It studies cultures and social interactions in a natural setting. Okay, so we go back to our question here. We're being asked to use a sample of our topic to understand the research approach, to understand the research design, sample size, and sampling technique, and ethical consideration. So we've ended on sampling, the research approach, and the research design. So these are the components I'm explaining before we go in understanding the other aspects. So sample size. When you're looking at the sample size, we're basically looking at what? The number of participants that we want to include in our study. So the sample size is important to determine based on a formula, which we often use the means formula or Sloven's formula. So this is the number of participants or observations that should be included in the study. It should be large enough to give you reliable results that are meaningful. So to determine the sample size depends on the population size and the confidence level on the margin of error. So we have many types of sample size formulas. We have the formula Z S over the margin of error E. Okay. We have N is equal to Z squared PQ over what? E. All right. We also have the number of formulas, the means formula. Who knows the means formula? N is equal to what? Most common that we use. N is equal to, who wants to try? Are we there? Sample size is based on the population that you have. So this is given by capital N, which is the population, over 1 plus N N E. All right. And also the sampling technique. The sampling technique that you use is dependent basically on whether you're using probability or non-probability methods. So the probability methods will include simple random sampling, stratified sampling, where every member has an equal chance. The non-probability sampling, we use purposive convenience sampling, where selection is based on the judgment of the researcher. So ethical considerations that we must look at could include anonymity, confidentiality, voluntary participation, avoiding harm. Okay, are you together?
Yes,
So now we go back to after understanding all those concepts, depending on what you had in your research, it may have been correct or incorrect, but you must follow the right kind of um, procedures. So I'll choose two topics. One can be qualitative and one can be a quantitative one. So the topic I can use may be exploring um, the experiences of civil servants on succession planning practices in Zambia. So this one will undertake what? A qualitative research approach because it's exploring the perceptions. So to make your life easy in the exam, falsify your topic in a way that it will be qualified by what is happening. Okay. This topic is qualitative because it helps us understand how civil servants perceive the experience of succession planning. So interviews can be conducted to senior and middle managers, okay, in the service to understand their detailed narratives. You can use evidence from Lusaka district. The approach could be phenomenological, okay? This research design will focus on understanding the individual lived experiences. Okay, example, you can ask civil servants open-ended questions about their personal experience with leadership transitions. Very good example. This one is a definite mark you get, all right? Then sample size or qualitative samples should be less than 30. So you pick good samples. So here we're going to look at what? Um, qualitative studies to prioritize in-depth. So whenever you're doing in-depth, the sample size is not usually very what? It's not very big. So you have an in-depth over depth. So you have smaller focus samples. The study will select 10 to 15. All right. Select 10, 15 to 20 participants. For instance, you are going to sample a mix of senior officers, HR personnel, middle managers across ministries. Then you're going to look at sampling technique. You use purposive sampling, which will be used where you're going to allow the researcher to pick participants who are knowledgeable and experienced in succession planning. For instance, only civil servants who are involved in what? Management or human resource or leadership. So this one would be an appropriate one. Okay. That is under what? Sampling technique. Then you go to ethical considerations. What ethical considerations did we talk about that you can look at? Okay, so you need to actualize your answers. Okay, so if we're dealing with ethical considerations, you're going to have informed consent where all the participants will be informed that it's for academic purposes. Confidentiality, you maintain it by, um, um, okay, you can ensure that the information that you're going to use are confidential. Voluntary participation should be emphasized that participants can withdraw at any time. Then also approval should be from your ethics board at Lusaka University. All right, so you can think of that. So those that would want a quantitative research can pick a topic, for instance, to do with analyzing the impact. The same topic now, if we want to change the approach, can become quantitative, all right? Depending on how you phrase it, assessing the impact of succession planning on organization performance, a case study of civil servants and some. So in this case, it will be quantitative because you want to see the numeric impact of the relationships. So example, you want to have structured questionnaire and Likert scale to look at the extent to which succession planning and its correlation matrices have been on productivity. Okay, so if that is a research approach, how are you going to do your sample design? So we talked about the sample designs that fall under uh, quantitative. So you cannot say phenomenological because quantitative. So that's what they'll be looking at. Okay, so we have a correlational research design to be used to study the relationship between the two variables here, succession planning and organizational performance. So here in the context, you are going to use tests whether there's better succession planning associated with improved performance. All right. So you're going to decide the relationship. Then on the sample size, you can use the Means formula. You're going to assume the population of civil servants at a certain department is 200. So use the Means formula, 200 there, you put it and the level of precision, you can have a calculator there. Okay, then you calculate. So like I said, the lecturer doesn't know your topic. So here you need to make sense based on the information you have. All right. So you can even master the topics. If your topics were not good, you can even master the topics that you wish to go with. All right, then what sampling uh, technique are you going to use? You can use a stratified sampling, okay, where civil servants will be classified into strata. And so you can put them into strata, okay? Right, then you can use that. Then, for instance, you can choose from 3 ministries. You pick each stratum from HR, senior managers, and also support staff. Then ethical considerations, you will send consent to forms, confidentiality. You use coded responses, and also the data will be strictly for academic purposes. And you get ethical um, um, from the postgraduate ethics. All right. So this is how you answer this question. I hope it's clear. Right. So this is where we end.